Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn. Firstly, I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded any videos in the last 3, 4, maybe 5 days. Unfortunately, I had this sickness that was very popular in 2020 and I felt terrible for a few days, but I'm feeling much better now. So let's finally do this speaking test feedback for Sajidul's speaking test. Let's get straight into it. Good afternoon. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
My full name is Sajidul Islam. You may call me Sajidul.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Chattogram. It is the southern part of Bangladesh. It's located near
It is the southern part or it is in the southern part?
the Kornufuli River. Specifically, I live in East Nasirabad residential.
What does it mean? I especially live in a place. I don't know what it means to specially live. Maybe specifically. So you could say, like, I live in South Wales, and specifically, I live in a small town called Caerphilly, but not especially.
Area. Originally, I am from Nangolpur.
Originally. So we don't quite hear the whole originally, do we? Just listen again.
Specifically, I live in East Nasirabad residential area. Originally, I am from
Just sound like originally instead of originally. So problem with the articulation there.
Nangolpur, Kumilla.
And do you like your hometown?
Definitely, I love my hometown. There are lots of
Cool, nice paraphrase, definitely. I love my hometown. Simple paraphrase, but nice.
reasons because of its naturally beautiful, and I born and brought up in this city, and there are
Seems like the candidate is trying to input or insert difficult language artificially. Just listen again.
reason because of its naturally beautiful, and I born
Because it is naturally beautiful and I just listen again. So the question is, do you like this place?
yeah, I love my hometown. There are lots of reasons because of its
There are lots of reason also. We want reasons, lots of reasons. Again, one of the most common and simple mistakes that we hear on this channel is candidates use the singular noun when they should use the plural. Lots of means we need a plural if the noun is countable. Lots of reasons, not lots of reason. But listen to the reasons why the candidate loves his hometown.
naturally beautiful,
It's naturally beautiful. Okay, that's fine.
and I born and brought up in this city.
And I born and brought up. So I don't know if that's a reason to love it, is it? Why do you like it? Because I born and brought up in this city. Maybe it is, but we also have a grammatical mistake. I was born and brought up in this city. So we should have passive constructions there. Passive constructions. I was born and brought up in this town, city, village.
And there are a lot of activities I did when I was kid with my friend, and that's why I love my hometown.
Okay, again, I'm not fully satisfied with that answer. It's naturally beautiful. Okay, I was born and brought up and I did lots of activities. Again, the obvious question that's in the examiner's mind is, well, which activities? And maybe, simplify the answer. Yeah, I love my town because it reminds me of the activities that I did with my friends when I was younger here. For example, we always used to walk by the river and it was a lot of fun. Right? That's a nice full answer. And does your hometown have a lot of tourists?
Yes, in my hometown, people love to visit oftenly. There are lots of
Didn't quite get that. People love to visit or friendly? What is it?
yes, in my hometown, people love to visit oftenly. There are lots
People love to visit or friendly. I don't quite get or friend. Is or friendly the name of a place or the name of the town? I'm not sure.
of recreational activities, natural scenario.
Recreational activities again, but can you demonstrate what you mean by recreational activities? Can you give examples of that?
In here, such as Potenga Sea Beach, Forest Lake.
Okay,
People love to
go back to these geographical features. Again, it's another thing candidates love to do, to overuse terms connected to geographical features. Now, I don't use the word sea beach, I just use the word beach or seaside or something like this, not sea beach. I notice a lot of my Bangladeshi candidates use sea beach. Sounds strange to me.
natural scenario in here,
Natural scenery. So let's see.
recreational activities, and natural scenario in here, such as Potenga Sea Beach, Forest
Potting the sea beach, don't quite get.
Lake. People love
Forest Lake. Forest Lake seems to be chunked together, which sounds strange. Potting the sea beach, Forest Lake just doesn't. It requires the examiner to really focus and think, like, what was that? Just listen again.
scenario in here, such as Potenga Sea Beach, Forest Lake. People love to visit often there, and in
People love to visit often there. So, wrong word order. People love to visit this place very often, or people often visit this place. People love to visit often there. It sounds strange.
my city's authority, they always encourage tourists to visit in my
Cool. Encourage somebody to do something. Nice grammatical construction.
place, I mean hometown.
Okay, let's. So there's a lot of stuff, just a lot of stuff in that answer. Yeah, people love to visit because there's recreational activities and there's beautiful scenery and there's the sea beaches and there's the forest lake and the authorities try to encourage people to visit and the tourists love to visit there. There's a lot of different points, but I always prefer answers that are simple, straightforward, not polluted with too many ideas. A nice, simple, straightforward idea, which is well developed, for me is much better than a bunch of different ideas which are not always connected and not very well developed. Let's move on now and talk about restaurants. Do you enjoy eating out at restaurants?
Definitely, I love
So we get this definitely. I think that's only the second time. So I like to be aware of my candidates' favourite words and how much they overuse them. So we've had two answers that are definitely. I think just two. We'll see if we get more.
to eat restaurant. I usually
I like to eat restaurant. You don't eat restaurants. You can eat at restaurants. So this town is South Bangladesh. I think we had something like that, and now I like to eat restaurants. So I think there might be a problem with prepositions that the candidate doesn't know how to use these prepositions of place, these prepositions that tell us where, like in the south, or next to the bank, or by the river, or at a restaurant. He says, I like to eat restaurants. Just listen again.
definitely I love to eat restaurant.
I love to eat restaurant. And again, we have singular noun instead of the plural noun.
Usually go out with my friends
Cool. Go out with my friends. Very nice natural verb phrase.
2 or 3 times in a week.
2 or 3 times a week is better than in a week, but it's minor problem.
We have different kinds of cuisine,
Cuisine, not cuisine, but cuisine.
such as Italian, Chinese,
Such as, I like it, Italian, Chinese,
Indian
Indian.
food. So yes, I often visit different kinds of restaurants in my city.
Cool. I think that's a wonderful answer. Very nice, well developed, simple, straightforward, to the point, easily understandable. Good stuff. And do you have a favorite restaurant?
Yes, I have one which called Barcode. It is a renowned.
Which is called, not which called, but which is called. Favorite restaurant?
Yes, I have one which called Barcode. It
Which called, which is called, which is called.
is a renowned restaurant in my city.
It's a renowned restaurant. I don't know. Well known restaurant, a popular restaurant. Renowned is okay, but I feel like renowned as a collocation, as a common word to describe a restaurant, a renowned restaurant. I don't know. Well known, popular, maybe even famous, but renowned, not quite sure.
They have different kinds of cuisine, especially Bengali. We have a specific cuisine which called mejban. They make
Game which is called. So it misses that passive a few times now. I think that's the fourth miss of the passive.
it delicious. So I often visit there with my
It delicious. It is delicious. Are we missing the verb to be? Let's listen.
uh, delicious. So I often
Sorry.
visit cuisine which called mejban. They make it uh, delicious.
No, they make it delicious. That's fine.
So I often visit there with my friends, sometimes with my families, and also I am
Again, with my families. So where we need a singular noun, where we need a plural noun, a lot of reasons, we get a lot of reason. And when we need a singular noun with my family, we get the plural noun.
often visit there with my friends, sometimes with my families, and also
Sometimes with my families. So I don't know how many families a person has. Normally a person has one family.
I am a student. They always provide some students discounts for all students. That's why I visit here often.
Let's move on now and talk about cooking. How often do you cook?
Uh, I don't cook so much, but
Cool, so no latency. There's no big delay between the end of the question and the beginning of the answer. I like that.
I cook 2 or 3 times in a month.
Two or three. So missing this th sound. Two or three times. And again, two or three times a month, not in a month. Or you can even say twice or three times a month.
For my mother, he loves to
Cool. Mother, we get the sound. So sometimes we get the and sometimes we get the duh.
eat different kinds of traditional food like fish, mutton curry, etc.
Cool. I like that he backs up his answers. He backs up his answers with examples. Cool.
So I want to make my mother happy. That's why I cook 2 or 3 times
Cool. I want to make somebody plus adjective. Very nice. I want to make my mother happy.
in a month.
Again, two or three times in a month. So a bit of repetition of ideas. He's already said that once. Now he's saying it a second time. So, and who does most of the cooking in your home?
My mother, he cook.
So my mother is a she, not he. And also he says he cook, and it should be she cooks. We need that third person s. So this grammar is home.
My mother, he cook all the time.
Yeah, she cooks all the time, not he cook all the time. This is very basic stuff.
Every day, 3 times in a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And
Cool. So showing some basic vocabulary.
there are lots of dishes I love to have, which he made
Lots of dishes I love to have. A reduced relative clause. Nice.
well. She made well.
She made. I don't know why we're going to the past here. So who does most of the cooking? My mum. There are lots of dishes that she made well. I don't know why suddenly we've gone to past time. So the candidate doesn't show good control over present and past time, but also doesn't show good control, especially over this verb to be and this third person s, and even mixing up pronouns he and she. And what is your mother's best dish?
I think my mother best
Think my mother best dish really should be my mother's best dish. That again is quite basic grammar. When we show possessive s, Glynn's best performance, or my mother's best dish, or my city's most famous building.
dish is biryani. He make lots of varieties of biryani like mutton biryani, chicken biryani, Hyderabadi biryani. I love to have this all time. And my also favorite dish is biryani.
My also favorite dish. That sounds strange. Another one of my favorite dishes is right. Another one of my favorite dishes is biryani. My also favorite dish is biryani. Sounds strange.
So my mother is kuku.
Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part, so thoughts on part one. Part one, reasonably fluent. So the answers are reasonably extended, although sometimes I feel like there are, instead of having a simple idea developed well, we get a little bit of chaos and disorganized ideas where the candidate is trying to overuse language, especially with these geographical features. But in general, fluency is okay. Extension and coherence, okay. Matching the questions with the answers, fine. Grammar is all over the place. We don't have a lot of grammatical accuracy, even with the most basic stuff, but the range is okay. We have encouraged somebody to do something, and there was a reduced relative clause in there. Vocab, I feel the basic stuff is absolutely fine. There is some good collocation, like go with my friends to a restaurant. That type of stuff is good. Pronunciation is generally easy enough to understand. A couple of things like with the chunking of like the lake, the forest lake, where it sounded like not two words, but it sounded like what kind of lake was it? It was the forest lake. And I don't know if it was a forest and a lake or a forest lake or so sometimes the chunking might be a little bit strange in the pronunciation, but generally the first thing we're always looking for is how easy is it to understand the candidate, and in general it's easy enough to understand the candidate. The internet connection isn't perfect, and that's always something I'm fighting against. But yeah, so far okay with the pronunciation. So going into part two, I probably want to think a bit about the fluency and coherence is always something I think about in part two. But let's take a look at the task itself. So describe a family member you spend a lot of time with. Okay, so vocab connected to people, relationships, friendships, or personality, language. Explain why you spend so much time with him or her. Okay, that could be open. So fluency and coherence is really what I'm looking for, and maybe a little bit of vocab. You know, do we get things like I get on very well with them, or we have a lot in common? Those type of structures would be nice here. Do you know when the time is up? Can you start speaking now, please?
Yes. Well, I would like to talk about a family member. I
I know you want to talk about a family member. You don't need to start with that. You can just say the family member I've chosen is and then get into it.
most of the time I love to spend with this member.
Cool. Tell me who that is.
She is my sister.
Cool. All right. Nice start.
Her name is Ahuna. I always try
So I don't like that pause there. He's just rushed. So her name is Ohuna. I like to. That would be natural, right? So I want to tell you about my sister, and her name is Ohuna. We often, so we should have a pause there, like where the full stop is going to be. But listen to the lack of pause.
my sister. Her name is Ahuna. I always try to
Her name is Ohuna. I always try to. We should put those pauses in the right place. Pausing naturally is important.
spend my quality time with my sister.
I always spend my quality time. So again, the candidate has learned quality time, but doesn't really know how to use it. So you know, you spend quality time with somebody. You don't spend your quality time. I like to spend some quality time, or I like to spend quality time with someone, but not my quality time. So just strange collocation.
There are lots of reasons because I have
There are lots of reason. Again, singular instead of plural.
only one sister. That's why I always try to spend quality time with her. And
Okay, now we get spend quality time with her. That's nice.
there are lots of things we do together, including we watch movie, we hang
We watch movie, just one movie, or movies in general.
out, having different kinds of
Again, we're mixing between simple and continuous here, or mixing like including, fine, including watching movies, hanging out, that's fine. But I think you said including we watch movies. So that sounds strange to use the clause.
there are lots of things
Let's just hear.
we do together, including we watch movie,
Okay, so if you're going to go with the clause we watch movies, now everything else should be in present simple too. We can't go back to the ing. What?
we hanging out, having
We hanging out. We hanging out isn't present simple. We hanging out isn't present continuous. We hanging out isn't a correct, accurate tense.
different kinds of food, and also we are often going out and visit
We are often going out. So in English, with often, we usually use present simple here. We often go out, not we are often going out. So student is using present continuous, and he's using present continuous with the right form, but he's not using it in the right context with the right function.
different kinds of places, natural beauty, and
And again, just throwing in that word natural beauty, like he did in part one, probably he just learnt I must use natural beauty in my IELTS test. Let's just listen to the context in which natural beauty was used here.
we are often going out and visit different kinds of places, natural beauty.
We are visiting different types of places. Natural beauty. Natural beauty doesn't. It's not in a context here. Places with natural beauty or places that have natural beauty, for example, that might be okay.
And uh, there are, honestly speaking, she is
Bit of false start and reformulation, but okay.
she's also my best friend, not only my sister.
Cool. I like that. She's my best friend, not only my sister. Very nice.
When I face some difficulty,
When, not her when. And I know this is a problem with many of my Bangladesh candidates. The WH questions: when, where, why. When, where, why. Many of the Bangladesh candidates overpronounce this "ha." They have "ho when," "ho where," "ho why," when, where, why.
is he always try to
Let's just listen again.
she's also my best friend, not only my sister. When I face some
Hoen, you hear Hoen, just slightly off.
difficulties, he always try to
Again, we're going back to he. So the mother has been he, and now the sister is he. And he always try should be she always tries. So grammatically, we're really, really breaking down with the most basic of stuff. So, in spite of some decent demonstration of a range of structures, the control over the most basic grammar just isn't there. So I think my grammar, the point that I want to award for grammar, I think I've settled it. Fluency and coherence, he's been okay with this. Not much reformulation. He's okay speaking at length. Let's just look for some more vocab.
encourage me to overcome this problem, and also always
To overcome a problem, very nice.
try to provide some guidelines about my goals, about my future.
Okay, provide guidelines about my goals. That doesn't feel very conversational. It feels very academic. And this is another common problem we have is that candidates really heighten their language. They go into the test and they think that it's their job to use overly academic or showy offy, like, I don't know, old fashioned or formal language. And that's not, the speaking test isn't the place to use that. The writing test, you can use some nice academic language there, nice formal language in, yeah, academic language. But the speaking test isn't the place to say to provide guidelines on my goals and ambitions. She helps me. She gives me a lot of advice about some of the things that I want to do in life. That's far more appropriate than she provides guidelines to or for my ambitions or achievements or something like that. But still, it's nice vocab. It is, it's nice vocab. It's just not situationally perfect.
So I am very happy to have to my sister, and also
I'm very happy to have to my sister. But okay, I'm forgetting about grammar. I'm just looking at vocab.
she always try to do new things. She is a travel freak. She always try to explore
Yeah, travel freak.
new places, visit new people. No one can boring
No one can boring.
uh, uh, no one can boring on her company.
No one can boring on her company. I think in her company. No one can be bored in her company.
So she's my best buddy in my family.
Cool, my best buddy. That's nice vocab.
And also, I definitely mention some specific things which is related to my study. My sister and also me, our major is the same, electrical and electronic engineering. When I face
So just too fast with the pronunciation. I don't hear what he's saying there about the major.
major is the same, electrical and electronic engineering. When I face
Electrical engineering. Um, yeah. You have to pronounce things at a pace, at a speed that I can understand.
difficulties related to my project, related to my assignment, she
It seems a little bit like the candidate has run out of ideas and he's gone away from the task, really, and now he's just decided to talk about the thing that they both study, which I don't really know if that's really connected to this task.
Always try to help me to solve this problem.
Solve this problem is a nice collocation.
And also, she always try
Okay,
to
thank you. Get this. She always tried to. She always tried to. She always tried to. Many times.
try to make some food.
Thank you. All right. So you've been. Okay, so thoughts on part two. So reasonably fluent, reasonably coherent. Towards the end, just kind of ran out of some ideas and went off topic a little bit. Vocab is decent. There are some nice collocations in there. Travel freak, best buddy. Provide guidelines is a little bit too formal and not situationally appropriate, but it is okay. Pronunciation is generally clear. Sometimes things are pronounced a little bit too quickly for me, but intonation is okay and generally easily understandable. Grammar, we have problems with, we know. Okay, so for part three, yeah, I'm not looking for anything in particular in part three. Let's just keep it general. Learn about your family's history. So the question was, is it important to learn about your family's history?
I think it is very significant to learn family history. If we
Okay, replacing important with significant, that's some effective paraphrasing.
go a new places, it is very important for us to express our family member, express our town
It's important for us to express our family member. I don't know what that means.
to others. So I think family history is very significant to learn, to express themselves.
Yeah, so there's an empty answer there. There's no reason why he just repeats the same idea 2 or 3 times. It's very important to express your family member, so I think it's very significant to express your family member or something like this. It's not a developed answer. And do you agree that, and not really a coherent answer, people nowadays prefer to spend time with their friends more than their family?
I think it's depend man to man. Some people love to spend their quality time with their friends. Some people love to spend their quality time with their families. So I think both are very
So far, very good. Very clear, easy to understand ideas.
important for our regular life. Friends are very important for our study life, our
So just breaking down in fluency a little bit, just notice the mumbling and the breakdown.
our study life, our uh, and also family.
And you can see the pain on the candidate's face too. This is usually a sign for me when I think about speaking at length. I like to look at the candidate's face and just to think like, how much difficulty is this candidate having? Like usually you can see on the candidate's face if they're speaking at length with ease or with difficulty, and just notice the candidate's face here.
Study life, our uh, uh,
Look, he has to close his eyes, he has to look down, he breathes out. These are all signs that he can speak at length, but with difficulty. Not always. Throughout the test, he's shown some ability to speak at length at ease, but sometimes he can speak at length only if it makes him, or it's clear that it makes him a little bit uncomfortable.
and also family also important to our family problems. If I am getting some problems, my family came and they encouraged me to
And the grammar, if I'm getting some problems, my family came. If I have some problems, my family comes. That's fine.
overcome this problem. So I think both family and friends are very important in humans life.
Oh, I think he wraps it up nice with a nice summarizing sentence. And do you think it's better for a child to grow up as the only child in a family or to have a lot of brothers and sisters?
Sorry, could you clarify this question, please?
Do you think it's better for a child to grow up as the only child in a family, or is it better to have a lot of brothers and sisters?
It is very difficult question for me. Let me
It is a difficult question. It's part three, I know.
think. Uh, I think siblings
But let me think. It's a nice way to buy some time.
are very important
Siblings, nice vocab.
in every family because of our our growth. If I have no siblings,
Siblings are important because of our growth. Okay, explain.
brother and sister, it is very difficult to communicate with other people. If I
Okay, that's fine, but other people, not others people. So this S is very strange. It's a very problematic letter for this candidate. He uses it where he shouldn't use it. He doesn't use it where he should use it.
am able to communicate with my families, I definitely able to communicate with other peoples, and also
Other people's. Should be other people.
I definitely mentioned food sharing and also other things sharing. If I am not able to share daily necessary things with my families, it is very difficult for me to share those kinds of things with other people. So I think siblings have a very important for every life, and it is very significant for everyone to have at least one
Just get repetition of ideas. So the coherence, I feel, isn't. While the fluency is okay, the coherence in part 3 so far haven't got like a lot of really satisfying answers.
sibling.
And in your culture, do children usually have a close relationship with their grandparents?
Definitely, in my nations, people love to
Okay, definitely, but I think that's only the third or fourth time we had definitely.
spend their valuable time with their grandparents. There are lots of reasons. I think grandparents
We've had quality time, valuable time, nice collocations with time.
have lots of experiences which they always provide their grandchildren, and grandchildren make their life easier through their information,
Make their life easier, nice.
which are provided
Which, again, you hear that, which.
their grandparents. So I think it is very crucial.
Very crucial, absolutely crucial, very important, but not very crucial. There are rules about English about strong adjectives and base or normal or regular adjectives.
Active for spending their time with their grandparents.
And what about extended families like uncles, cousins, aunties, and so on? Is that also important?
Yeah, I think it is very important for everyone to have a big family. There are lots of reasons. If a family have a doctor, they
Doctor, doctor, doctor.
usually they are not going to another
Again, that usually with many of the Bangladeshi candidates, again, there are some problems with this j sound. J. Usually, j.
doctor when they are sick.
When, again,
So it is very important. And also when a
when.
big family lives together, that time they easily solve their regular problem, unexpected problem which comes, and also I think it's create a great bonding uh, uh, among our
Bonding among. That's all good stuff.
family members.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, so I think quite an easy one to score, I think. Let's have a look at some of the scores. So fluency and coherence, I think I'm going to give 6 for this. So let's put some notes. So you can speak at length. Sometimes sometimes there are breakdowns, or sometimes it is noticeable that you can only do so with difficulty. Sometimes, not always. Sometimes you can speak at length and you can extend answers fine, but sometimes there's noticeable pain in your face. Quite a few times, I would say, quite a few times the answers feel a little empty, particularly in part 3. So it just feels like I don't quite get a satisfying answer. Like, is it important to learn about family history? Oh yeah, it's very important, and it's very significant because you have to be able to express your family member, and that's why it's very significant to learn about your family history. It's like, I haven't learnt anything from that answer. I don't really know what you mean there. This doesn't happen all the time, but quite a few times there's just been some empty answers. But in general, your fluency is in general, you can extend your answers well, and I like the length of your answers. You certainly don't speak too long. You don't keep your answers too short. The length of your answers are fine, and I think 6 for fluency and coherence is absolutely fine. If you can just improve that coherence aspect, that should take you to a 7, no problem. Lexical resource, I think there is enough for a 7 there. So you know a lot of good vocab. Sometimes you get prepositions wrong, but your range is good enough for me for a 7. I would forget about trying to add all of those geographical features about natural beauty and lakes and rivers and sea beaches. To me, that doesn't do anything. I get a bit confused by that. Your range is good enough for a 7. Occasionally or sometimes you repeat a lot of vocab. There are lots of reasons, or it's very significant, things like that sometimes. Grammatical range and accuracy, this is your weakest point, and this is a 5. So I don't need to write much about the range, although I will mention sometimes you show a decent range of simple, or sometimes you use some nice complex structures. Maybe that's the best way to say it. Sometimes you use some nice complex structures, encourage me to do something, want to make somebody's life easier. I like those type of structures. There was some embedded, some reduced relative clause. Doesn't matter about the name of the grammar, but in short, sometimes you demonstrate some good, like B2, C1-ish type of grammar. However, you have almost no control over time and tense, and there are regular mistakes with singular and plural. So we just see the singular and plural, so many mistakes, probably maybe even 15 mistakes, maybe. Well, I wasn't counting. But with present simple, it seems that you don't really know the difference between present simple and present continuous. And it seems that while you have the form of present continuous mostly okay, your form with present simple just isn't there. Like, she tries instead of he try. Just so many mistakes with that. And sometimes you use present simple to talk about the past, or past simple when you're talking about the present. So there's just no control over that time and tense, unfortunately. Pronunciation, I thought maybe there was enough for a 7, but I think 6 is probably fair. So generally, it's easy enough to understand you without working very hard. That's the main thing we're looking for. To get that 6, we want to say, okay, the candidate can be understood without working too hard. Great. However, there are regular mistakes with some phonemes. For example, the w sound in like which, when, who, where, things like this. The j sound like in usually, that j sound. So those things, quite predictable mistakes with those. The intonation is okay, but sometimes the chunking or grouping is inappropriate, just sometimes, but maybe we don't need to worry so much about this grouping problem, because that's not the part that I think that you should work on. The things that I think you should work on, the 3 obvious parts are, I'll just put it in question, can you control basic grammar? We're not talking about difficult grammar. We're talking about the grammar that you learn in elementary English. If you can learn to control the grammar that you learn in elementary or pre-intermediate English, your grammar score will probably jump to a 6 or maybe even a 7. But can you control it? It's going to be it can be so tough sometimes when you get into the habit of making the same mistakes over and over again. It can be very difficult to stop doing that, unfortunately. Secondly, make sure that your answers match the questions and that you have some kind of meaningful answer. So we're not looking for sophisticated answers, but with some type of meaningful answer to the question. So if you think it's important to learn family history, give me some real reasons instead of like you want to express your family member, which doesn't mean anything. So some kind of meaningful answers, especially in part 3. And then the last point, can you tidy up your pronunciation of question words? I think that would be a good place to start. When, where, why, who, what. Can you tidy up your pronunciation of question words? Because there are multiple mistakes with those things. So I think really candidate really should aim for 7 for fluency and coherence, 7 or 8 for lexical resource. I would avoid using, the heightened language, the formal language. I think if he avoids that, he certainly has the potential to get an 8. Grammatical range and accuracy, I think he will be stuck at a 5. Maybe if things go great, he could get a 6. And maybe pronunciation could just about get to a 7, but I think at the moment he's at a 6. So these are my scores: 6, 7, 5, 6. So that puts him, of course, at overall band 6. Let's put this on the board. So overall 6.0, that's upper intermediate, and I think that's fair. I think the candidate is just a little bit short of advanced. Certainly has the potential to get 7.0, but can you control that basic grammar? That's the big question. All right, I'll leave that there. So I hope you enjoyed the feedback on this speaking test. I am getting back into making videos after my short sickness. Those of you who had scheduled a speaking test, I will write to you to reschedule those speaking tests. I have a lot of requests. Over the last week, I've got a bunch of requests, so I'm hoping to get back in touch with everyone over the next few days. But if you'd like your own free practice IELTS speaking test with feedback, or if you would like me to check your IELTS writing either for task 1 or for task 2, please do let me know. Information on how to contact me is given below. And yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much. Have a great day, evening. Bye bye.